So this is panel one, the panel that will illuminate for us the circumstances in which this case, Ternovsky versus Hungary, was brought before the European Court of Human Rights. We have Anna Ternovsky, the Hungarian mother who brought the case of Ternovsky versus Hungary before the European Court of Human Rights after her midwife, Agnes Cherab, was arrested and put under house arrest.
I went to the European Court of Human Rights to clear the circumstances around home birth, because when I was expecting my second child, Aggie was already in prison.
It happened 3 years ago, and at that time it became very clear to me that the legal circumstances in Hungary prohibited me from taking all advantage of midwifery expertise that existed and should have been available to me. You see, midwifery was not recognized profession in Hungary, then despite the fact that my own midwife, Agnes Cherab, had spent the previous 2 decades trying to obtain the necessary permit from the authorities.
In the kindergarten, where my older son used to go, most of the mothers gave birth at home, so we were always talking about Agnes and the cases and how horrible this situation was. And one of them was a lawyer in TASZ. And actually I was asking her, is there any court where we can turn to clear the situation, to fight for our rights?
We accused the Hungarian state of violating 2 articles of the European Convention of Human Rights, one dealing with one's right to privacy and the other concerning its anti-discrimination regulation. The ECHR rulings was made within a year and found that both my rights had been violated. I won, but it wasn't just me, it was all other women who would wish to exercise such rights.
And she said that actually there is one in Strasbourg, but it needs to be a woman who is actually pregnant. So at that time I was pregnant with my second child, and we were laughing. But a few days later, a lawyer found me with and questioned me if I want to go and do it. And I was really happy to do it.
Well, we met Anna, and she really wanted to give birth at home. But she felt that this cannot be a free choice of her because of all the proceedings against midwives and because of the lack of the regulation. And she felt that she is somehow pushed towards hospital birth against her will. And she really wanted to have that choice, what she experienced with her first child. And that's why she was so keen on to try to find any kind of measure, any legal measure to enforce that right that we believe that she has, and she believed that she has, and then the European Court of Human Rights confirmed that she has.
She has what?
She has the right to choose how to give birth and where to give birth, and choose the circumstances of giving birth. And I believe that this is a big decision, not only for Anna, obviously, but for all the women under the European Convention, because it's not only about birth and home birth, which is also very important, but it's also about being able and being recognized as being able to make choices on our own. And it's about the whole reproductive rights and choice argument. I think that's why it's a very, very important decision.
It is the doctors, not me or the midwives, who make the final decisions at the month 8 as to whether or not I'm eligible for home birth. Surely, this violates my rights as a mother. I do not feel that our rights as a birthing mother are properly respected, and I believe discrimination will continue as long as our rights are not reflected in the governing home birth regulations.
Even to acknowledge the way that women are treated around childbirth as a human rights issue was radical. It's never been addressed by a high human rights tribunal that I know of before this case at the end of 2010. And then what they said in the case is also radical and profound, perhaps more so than they realized. They said that a woman has a human right to choose the circumstances in which she gives birth to her baby, and that the state violates that human right if it has a legal system in which it's unclear whether it's legal to give birth outside the hospital, and if it persecutes midwives for supporting women to give birth outside the hospital. When I encountered this case, I was shocked because I had never read about it anywhere. It wasn't written about in the press, and I'm somebody who reads a lot about childbirth issues and reproductive issues. Why hadn't I encountered this case before? And then when I thought about what the court was saying, I just realized its implications for birth systems all over the world. Because if a birthing woman has a human right to choose the circumstances in which she gives birth, that means that birthing women are the decision makers in childbirth.
How do you feel?
I'm proud of myself that I could give birth at home, but I'm proud Agnes Gerib, what she made, and my lawyers especially, that if we work together, I think that the world can change. And but that's just the beginning, and we have to work hard.